Working for you. A weekly talk radio program which highlights developments of national interest and the activities of your St. Kitts Nevis government. Join host Lesroy Williams as he presents news, views, reports, and interviews about everything regarding the activities of the Team Unity government and the building of our communities and the development of St. Kitts Nevis. Tune in and call in to interact with your government and share your views regarding the upward forward development of your community and our beautiful Twin Island Federation. Working for You is weekly, every Wednesday live from 1:30 p.m. to 3 p.m. on ZIZ Radio, Win FM, and Sugar City FM with rebroadcast on participating stations. Working for You.
This government is about unity. It is truly a team effort, not just with cabinet, but with cabinet and civil servants, dedicated civil servants. And not just with cabinet and civil servants, but with cabinet, civil servants, and you, the people. It is a government for and by the people. The Team Unity government wants the people of St. Kitts and Nevis to know that their government is not just unified in principle, but is also unified in purpose. It is this purpose which is the overwhelming mandate by the people for a new kind of politics. This purpose-driven politics is what the people are demanding in St. Kitts and Nevis and throughout the entire Caribbean. Consultative democracy and shared responsibility is the ethos of this government, and the guest of this radio show will reflect that same ethos. Every week, we will have government officials talking about everything from water to public safety, other issues like the function and purpose of cabinet, term limits for prime ministers, electoral reform, job creation, the economy, constitutional reform, and the list goes on. Today we are honored to have a very special guest. A man first elected in November of 1993. He has served the people of St. Kitts and Nevis and constituency number 7 for over 21 years. We have with us Dr. the Honorable Timothy Harris, Prime Minister of St. Kitts and Nevis. He is a native of the village of Tabernacle. He was elected leader of Team Unity in 2013 and was sworn in on February 18th, 2015 as the 3rd Prime Minister of St. Kitts and Nevis. Dr. Harris, welcome.
Thank you very much, Lesroy, for having me. And this, the inaugural program, Working for You. I was particularly impressed when you explained to the public what this Working for You program is about. And it is for me a special delight to be here as the chief servant of the people and giving life and meaning to what Working for You is all about. So thank you again for having me as your first guest on this critically important people's program.
To start the ball rolling, Dr. Harris, you have been in office for almost 8 months. Let me ask you, what have the achievements of your young administration been? What have been the achievements?
I would say that we have achieved so many things that it is difficult to enumerate them all. However, the first challenge after an election will be to put a government together. And the Team Unity administration went to work on behalf of the people and produced results in that regard more sooner than any other government had done, or perhaps would do in the circumstances of the Team Unity machinery and in the circumstances that we were 3 distinct parties that had come together, moved beyond the party divisiveness to form one. machinery for the elections, and one approach, one agenda, one manifesto for governance. I would say go back to 2010, after the general elections in 2010, for almost 2 weeks, St. Kitts and Nevis was without a government. It was without a government because the leader then, the Prime Minister, having been sworn in, as it were, ran away from the country and went abroad to Libya. Not one other minister of government was put in place at that particular moment in time. And for 2 weeks, as he was, as it were, the special guest of a dictator in Libya, the country wondered here and there what was going on. By that standard, which is the most recent standard in the context of St. Kitts and Nevis, within 4 days, by the 22nd of February, we were able to usher and to introduce the Team Unity Cabinet to the people of St. Kitts and Nevis. The next natural step, of course, will be to deal with the hurdles of transition. And I would say, by whatever measure used, we have done well in bringing about the consolidation of the Team Unity government without creating, as it were, an upset or major difficulty in the conduct of the governance agenda for St. Kitts and Nevis. And so we were able, for example, to assume control of the boards that are under the state enterprises. We were able to make the necessary adjustment in positions within the context of the civil service. And all of these necessary changes were effected with decency and decorum. And so we achieved this without destabilizing the civil service or the country. Importantly, was that even with the difficult challenge that any new government would have faced, coming 20 years after an incumbent, we were able to do all these adjustments, execute a seamless transition without any victimization on the people of St. Kitts and Nevis. That is not to say that there weren't hurdles, that there were some misdirected permanent secretaries who had refused to accept that the government had changed and had purported to do things that were inimical to the good governance agenda. And those persons, of course, were repositioned so that the government could get on with its work. So we were able, as it were, to take control of the executive, critically important in the context of the governance. But not only were we able to do that, and we'll go back to the executive, I would like to say also that we were able, within the time frame given by the Constitution, to convene the first sitting of a parliament. And what a wonderful sitting was the first sitting of the parliament in 2015 under Team Unity administration. Contrasts are important. The last sitting of the bygone administration, or perhaps one of the more memorable, was on the 16th of January, where they created a house of confusion and a house of mayhem, where they denied members of parliament their right to speak on a matter that crucially and importantly went to the heart of the democratic process in St. Kitts and Nevis, and which would determine for whom people will vote, and which had implications for candidates. Indeed, in that last sitting of the bygone administration, not only was one member, the member for number 8, named, but the Honorable Sam Conda, one of the longest serving members of the parliament, was unceremoniously denied the right to free expression in the parliament. And we could go on to how all the processes were contaminated, which led, as it were, to that address or redress being sought in the courts. And we went all the way to London in search of justice. Suffice it to say, what happened when we had our first sitting, and every sitting thereafter has been in marked contrast, not perfect, but certainly a significant improvement in decorum, in the conduct of the leaders, particularly those on the government side, that has been evidenced by the people of St. Kitts and Nevis. And so we continue in that regard. We continue in that regard to pay attention to the proper functioning of democracy, ensuring that Parliament meets, and when Parliament meets, the business of the people and the business of the country, that those matters are attended to. I want to say equally important, the third estate is long considered the judiciary, and that, in our view, has been functioning reasonably well. Indeed, this government came, and we have said publicly that we will pursue the operationalization of a second court in St. Kitts and Nevis to ensure that many of the matters now backlogged in the court could come to proper resolution, because justice delayed would be justice denied. And so, though we inherited that abominable situation where cases has been tied up and so on, and no movement for many years, we are attempting to address that, and we are in discussions with the Chief Justice in relation to the execution of that mandate which we have from the people. So across the estate, be it the executive, be it the Parliament or the judiciary, and even if we venture to the fourth estate, I would say that things are going extremely well in St. Kitts and Nevis. The fourth estate, of course, is referred to as the media, and the media perhaps is very powerful and very alive in St. Kitts and Nevis. And we have added to that ability for the media to thrive and to do well and to be a responsible media in its reporting by bringing to Parliament a Freedom of Information Act, which is part of the good governance agenda of this government. So I thought I would broadly touch on those, and of course there are specifics from the vantage point of the executive, which we could go into at your own invitation for me to do that.